The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as 17-year-old Jalen Carter took the stand. His dark brown eyes burned with an intensity that made even the seasoned judge, Richard Lawson, shift uncomfortably in his seat. The case was simple. Jalen was accused of breaking into a wealthy businessman's home. The evidence was circumstantial, but the prosecution was relentless. "State your name for the record," the defense attorney prompted. Jalen leaned into the microphone, his voice steady. "Jalen Carter. And your relation to this case?" He took a deep breath, glanced at the judge, and spoke. "The judge is my father." A stunned silence fell over the courtroom. Judge Lawson, a man known for his ironclad composure, visibly paled. His gavel trembled in his grip. "Excuse me," he finally managed to say. Jalen's lips curled into a knowing smirk. "You heard me, Your Honor. You're my father." Gasps filled the room. The prosecutor's pen slipped from his fingers. The defense attorney blinked, completely thrown off. Judge Lawson cleared his throat, his voice tight. "This is highly inappropriate, young man." But Jalen wasn't done. He turned to the jury, then back to Lawson. "You can pretend all you want. But you knew my mother, didn't you? Monica Carter." At that name, the judge's face drained of color. Jalen caught it, so did everyone else. "Order!" Lawson barked, slamming the gavel. But the damage was done. The whispering in the courtroom grew louder. Jalen folded his arms. "If you want to convict me, fine. But first, answer this: why did you abandon my mother? Why did you leave me to grow up in the streets while you sat up there in your black robe, pretending to be righteous?" Judge Lawson's fingers tightened around his gavel. He wanted to deny it. But something in Jalen's face, his jawline, the sharp set of his eyes, was too familiar. Too much like looking into a mirror from decades ago. The courtroom waited. The world waited. And then, finally, Lawson whispered, "Court is adjourned." Judge Richard Lawson rose from his seat so abruptly that his chair screeched against the polished floor. Without another word, he turned and disappeared into his chambers, leaving behind a courtroom drowning in shock. Jalen smirked. "Got him." His court-appointed lawyer, Maya Brooks, grabbed his arm. "Jalen, what the hell was that?" she hissed. "Are you trying to get yourself locked up?" He pulled his arm away and leaned in. "He's guilty of more than just running from his past. And I'm gonna prove it." Maya's eyes narrowed. "Prove what, exactly?" Jalen didn't answer. Instead, he turned and walked toward the courtroom exit, shoving his hands into his pockets. He had done what he came to do, plant the seed. Now, he just had to wait for Lawson to start unraveling. The heavy wooden door slammed shut behind him. Lawson braced himself against his desk, his heart pounding harder than it had in years. Monica Carter. That name. It was a ghost from a past he had buried deep. With shaking hands, he pulled open a drawer and fumbled through a stack of old files until he found it, a faded photograph from 18 years ago. A young Monica smiled at him from the picture, her dark eyes full of warmth, unaware that she'd soon be left to raise a child alone. "Damn it," Lawson whispered. The resemblance was undeniable. Jalen was his son. And if Jalen had come all this way to confront him, it meant he knew more than just the truth about his birth. It meant he might know about the other thing. The secret that, if exposed, would not only destroy Lawson's career, but could land him in prison. Jalen stood outside an old, run-down house on the south side of the city, staring at the dimly lit window. A moment later, the front door creaked open. An older woman stepped out, Aunt Regina, his mother's sister. She had raised him after Monica died. He reacted just like you said he would, Jalen muttered as she lit a cigarette. Regina exhaled a cloud of smoke. Of course he did. He's a coward. Jalen turned to face her. I need to know everything. The whole truth. You said my mom didn't just die, you said someone helped her along. Regina's face hardened. That's right. She took another drag before whispering, and that someone was your father. Jalen felt his blood run cold. If Judge Lawson had anything to do with his mother's death, then this wasn't just about confronting a deadbeat dad anymore. This was about revenge. Jalen felt his chest tighten. His mother, murdered? And the man responsible was the same judge who sat high and mighty, deciding the fate of others? His fingers curled into fists. If it's true, he's going to pay. Aunt Regina, Jalen said slowly, his voice tense, how do you know? Regina took another slow drag of her cigarette, her eyes dark with old anger. Because I was there that night. I saw the way she looked at me when she called. She was scared, Jalen. Said she had proof that Lawson ruined more than just her life. She told me to meet her at our old spot, but by the time I got there, Regina swallowed hard. She was gone. And not just gone, wiped clean, like she never existed. Jalen's stomach twisted. And you never told me this? Regina let out a bitter laugh. You were 6. What was I supposed to say? Hey, kid, your dad's a powerful judge who probably had your mom killed, but don't worry about it. She flicked her cigarette into the street. I thought if I kept you away from him, you'd be safe. But I was wrong. You had to find out eventually. Jalen's mind raced. His mom had proof. If she was right, if Lawson was more than just a deadbeat, then there had to be something left behind. What kind of proof? He asked. Regina sighed. I don't know, but your mom was smart. She wouldn't just keep it lying around. Then she gave him a pointed look. If you really want answers, you need to find out what she was digging into before she died. Jalen clenched his jaw. He already knew where to start. Judge Lawson's house. The judge's mansion loomed in the moonlight, its white stone walls glowing against the darkness. Jalen crouched near the tall hedges, his hoodie pulled up. He had spent years running these streets, learning how to move unseen. Breaking in wasn't the problem, getting out was. Taking a deep breath, he scaled the side gate and landed silently in the backyard. The house had cameras, but Jalen had studied their angles. He crept toward a side window and slid a crowbar underneath. With a careful push, the lock gave way, and the window creaked open just enough for him to slip inside. He was in. Jalen moved quickly through the house, his heart pounding. He needed a place where Lawson would hide something important. His office? No, too obvious. The bedroom? Maybe. Then he spotted it, a locked door near the staircase. Bingo. Jalen reached for his pocket, pulling out a small lockpick set. Years of surviving on the streets had taught him a thing or two. With a few quick twists, click, the door swung open. Inside was a small, dimly lit study. Shelves of legal books lined the walls, but Jalen ignored them. He went straight for the desk. He yanked open drawers, searching frantically. Folders. Court cases. A gun. Nothing screamed murder evidence. Then, in the bottom drawer, he saw it. An old cell phone. Jalen's breath caught. He picked it up, turning it over in his hands. It was a burner phone, cheap, disposable. And when he pressed the power button, the screen flickered to life. Only one video was saved. His hands shook as he pressed play. The screen was grainy, but Jalen immediately recognized the woman. His mother. She was crying. She looked afraid. She was whispering into the camera. "If you're seeing this, I might already be dead." Jalen's stomach dropped. "I found something. Lawson, he's not who he says he is. There are records, hidden cases, people who went missing after crossing him. I have proof. If anything happens to me, look for." A noise in the background. Monica's head snapped up. Then, the door behind her burst open. She screamed. The phone shook. A shadowy figure lunged at her. The screen blurred, then cut to black. Jalen stood frozen, his heart hammering. His mother had known the truth. And someone, his father, had silenced her before she could reveal it. A creak echoed behind him. Jalen turned and saw Judge Lawson standing in the doorway. His father's face was unreadable. But his eyes, cold and sharp, locked onto the phone in Jalen's hand. "You shouldn't have come here, son," Lawson said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Jalen's pulse roared in his ears. His fingers tightened around the phone. He had two choices: run or fight. Jalen's mind screamed at him to run, but his body refused to move. He gripped the phone tight, his mother's last words echoing in his head. Judge Lawson took a slow step forward, blocking the only exit. His face was unreadable, but his voice was dangerously calm. "Put the phone down, Jalen." Jalen swallowed hard. "You killed her." Lawson's jaw tensed. "You don't know what you're talking about." Jalen lifted the phone. "This says otherwise." For the first time, something flickered in the judge's eyes: fear. It was brief, but Jalen caught it. "He's afraid." Jalen squared his shoulders. "What did she know? Who else have you buried?" Lawson sighed, rubbing a hand over his face like a disappointed parent. "Jalen, you don't understand. Your mother was reckless. She got involved in something bigger than both of us." "Bigger than us?" Jalen let out a bitter laugh. "That's your excuse for killing her?" Lawson's eyes darkened. "I never touched her." "But you know who did." Silence. Jalen's chest rose and fell rapidly. His instincts screamed that he was in danger, but he couldn't leave. Not yet. He glanced at the phone screen, his mother's last message was still there. If he could just get out of this house, he had enough to destroy Lawson's entire career. Lawson must have realized that too, because his voice hardened. "Give me the phone, Jalen." Jalen took a slow step back. "No." Lawson's expression turned to stone. And then, he reached into his jacket. "Gun." Jalen's breath caught. His mind exploded with one thought: move. He spun, shoving the desk over as a barrier. Lawson lunged forward, cursing as the heavy wood slowed him down. Jalen bolted. His feet pounded against the hardwood floor as he sprinted down the hallway. Behind him, Lawson shouted his name, but Jalen didn't stop. He crashed into the living room, heading straight for the back door. Bang! A gunshot rang out. Glass shattered near his shoulder. Jalen ducked, his heartbeat slamming in his ears. "That bastard is actually trying to kill me." He dove over the couch and scrambled toward the kitchen. Another shot exploded behind him, taking out a picture frame on the wall. Almost there. Jalen spotted a side door and lunged for it. His fingers gripped the handle, locked. Think, Jalen. His eyes darted around. Then, he saw it. The window above the sink. He leaped onto the counter, shoved the window open, and launched himself outside. The night air hit him like a punch, but he didn't stop moving. He hit the ground, rolled, and took off into the darkness. Behind him, the door burst open. Lawson didn't follow. No, the judge wouldn't chase him, not yet. He had an image to protect. Shooting Jalen in his own home was one thing. Getting caught? That was another. Jalen knew what that meant. This wasn't over. Jalen didn't stop running until he reached a familiar alleyway on the south side, the one behind Aunt Regina's house. He slumped against the wall, gasping for air. The phone was still in his hand. The video was still there. He needed to get this out, now. Pulling out his own phone, he quickly sent the video to multiple people. His aunt. His lawyer. Even a couple of journalists he followed online. Just in case. Then he called Regina. She answered on the first ring. Jalen? His voice was raw. I got proof. A pause. Then, you need to get off the streets. Now. I know. Jalen wiped sweat from his forehead. He had the truth, but truth alone wouldn't be enough. Because Judge Lawson wasn't just a bad father. He was a powerful man with everything to lose. And if he had killed before, he would do it again. Jalen clutched the burner phone, his knuckles white. His mother's terrified face, frozen in the video, haunted him. He had the truth. But now what? Regina's voice came through the line, sharp and urgent. Listen to me, boy. Lawson's not gonna let this slide. You need to disappear. Jalen swallowed. Disappear where? He's a judge. He's got connections everywhere. A beat of silence. Then Regina's voice dropped lower. I know someone who can help. Jalen frowned. Who? Regina hesitated. He was your mom's friend. Used to work with the feds before he went underground. If anyone can keep you safe and bring Lawson down, it's him. Jalen glanced around the alley, his paranoia spiking. He wasn't safe here. Fine, he said. Where do I find him? Regina exhaled, then muttered an address. Warehouse. East Dock. Midnight. Jalen frowned. You sure I can trust him? Regina hesitated, then said, You don't have a choice. Back at his mansion, Judge Lawson poured himself a glass of whiskey with shaking hands. He had nearly killed his own son. Nearly. That boy has no idea who he's messing with. He sat down, picked up his phone, and dialed a number. The line clicked. A cold voice answered. It's late, Judge. Lawson exhaled. We have a problem. My son found something. A video. He's on the run. The voice on the other end didn't hesitate. Want me to handle it? Lawson stared at the ice melting in his glass. Make it clean. A pause. Then the voice said, Consider it done. Jalen made it to the warehouse a few minutes before midnight. It was old, abandoned, the metal walls rusting from years of neglect. The place was dead silent. No lights. No movement. Something felt off. He took a cautious step forward. Hello? Nothing. Then, a shuffle behind him. Jalen spun, heart hammering. A tall man in a dark coat emerged from the shadows. His face was lined with age, his eyes sharp as steel. "You're Monica's boy." Jalen didn't lower his guard. "Who are you?" The man glanced around. "Name's Darius Cole. Your mom and I, we tried to expose Lawson years ago. She died for it. I went into hiding." Jalen narrowed his eyes. "If you're so good at hiding, why come out now?" Darius smirked. "Because you did what we couldn't, you got proof." Jalen hesitated, then pulled out the phone. The video. Bang! A gunshot tore through the night. Jalen barely had time to react before Darius shoved him behind a stack of crates. Another shot rang out, shattering the wood beside them. They had walked into a trap. "Damn it," Darius muttered, pulling out a gun. Lawson must have sent his guys. Jalen's pulse thundered. He wasn't just being hunted. He was being silenced. Footsteps approached. Shadows moved in the darkness. Darius handed Jalen a second gun. "You know how to shoot?" Jalen hesitated, then nodded. Darius grinned. "Good. Then let's make these bastards regret showing up." Jalen took a deep breath, gripped the gun, and prepared to fight. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was war. Jalen's pulse thundered in his ears as he gripped the gun Darius had handed him. He had never fired a real weapon before, never even held one this heavy. But tonight, survival came first. Footsteps. Getting closer. Darius peeked around the crates, then cursed under his breath. 2 of them. Armed. Jalen's fingers tightened on the trigger. "What do we do?" Darius smirked. "We don't die." He suddenly popped up from cover and fired, bang. A man yelped and crumpled to the ground. His partner retaliated, bullets shredded the crates, forcing Jalen and Darius back. Jalen's breathing was ragged. "This is real. This is happening." Darius grabbed his arm. "You stay here, Anne." Too late. Jalen saw movement to the side, a third shooter. The man raised his gun. Jalen didn't think, he acted. Bang! The recoil jolted his arm, but his shot hit true, right in the man's leg. The shooter crumpled with a scream. Darius whistled. "Damn, kid." Jalen barely had time to register the hit before another round of bullets forced them deeper into the warehouse. They ran through rusted corridors, past broken-down machinery. The gunfire behind them never stopped. "Lawson really wants you dead," Darius grunted as they sprinted. Jalen gritted his teeth. "Then let's disappoint him." Judge Lawson sat in his dimly lit office, fingers tapping against his desk. His whiskey glass sat untouched. The hired killers should have called by now. His phone rang. He answered immediately. "Is it done?" A hesitant pause. Then, no. The kid and the old man escaped. Lawson's grip on the phone tightened. "Excuse me?" "They were better prepared than we thought." Lawson closed his eyes, breathing through his nose. "Find them. I don't care what it takes. Do not fail." He hung up. Jalen had proven to be more than just a nuisance. He was a threat. And if the mercenaries couldn't kill him, Lawson would do it himself. Jalen and Darius crouched behind an abandoned truck, catching their breath. The mercenaries were still searching, their voices echoing through the warehouse. "We can't keep running," Jalen said. "Even if we get out of here, Lawson will just send more guys." Darius nodded. "Then we take the fight to him." Jalen blinked. "How?" Darius pulled out an old, beat-up phone and started typing. "I have a friend in the FBI, used to be my partner before everything went to hell. If we get this video to him, he can blow Lawson's whole operation wide open." Jalen hesitated. "And if he's dirty too?" Darius smirked. "Then we burn the whole damn system down." A gunshot ricocheted off the truck. "No more talking," Darius said. "We move. Now." Jalen nodded, gripping his gun. This wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about ending Judge Lawson, for good. Jalen's heart pounded as he followed Darius through the maze of rusted shipping containers. The mercenaries were still searching, their boots crunching against the gravel. Darius pulled out his old phone and typed something quickly. "I sent the video to my contact at the FBI. If he's clean, he'll come through." Jalen exhaled. "And if he's not?" Darius gave him a grim smile. "Then we improvise." A shout rang out behind them. "There! The kid's got the phone!" Bullets tore through the air. Jalen and Darius bolted. They sprinted toward the chain-link fence at the edge of the docks. Jalen's lungs burned, but adrenaline kept him moving. The mercenaries were gaining. Darius yanked something from his jacket, a flashbang grenade. "Cover your eyes," he shouted, tossing it behind them. Boom! A blinding light and deafening bang erupted. The mercenaries cried out, stumbling as they clutched their ears. Jalen and Darius climbed the fence and dropped to the other side. A black car screeched to a stop in front of them. Jalen's breath caught. Another enemy? Then the tinted window rolled down. A man in a dark suit, stern face, and an FBI badge clipped to his coat stared at them. "Get in," he ordered. Darius didn't hesitate. "Jalen, let's go." Jalen hesitated for half a second. Then he threw himself into the back seat. The car peeled away, leaving the mercenaries in the dust. They drove for nearly an hour before pulling into an underground parking lot. Jalen stepped out cautiously, gripping the burner phone. "Who is this guy?" Darius clapped the FBI agent on the back. "Jalen, meet Agent Marcus Reed. He's one of the few feds I actually trust." Reed sighed, rubbing his temples. "Darius, I told you I'm too old for this crap." Jalen wasn't convinced. "If you're FBI, why haven't you taken Lawson down already?" Reed folded his arms. "Because Lawson isn't just a judge. He's protected. He has connections in law enforcement, politics, maybe even inside the bureau." Jalen gritted his teeth. "So what? You're scared?" Reed stared at him, then pointed at the burner phone. "I'm careful. That video you found? That's leverage. But it's not enough. We need something bigger." Jalen's hands curled into fists. "My mom died for this. What more do you need?" Darius cut in. "Marcus is right. We need bank records, hidden case files, proof that Lawson's part of something bigger." Reed nodded. "And there's only one place to find that." He pulled out a file and tossed it onto the table. It was a blueprint of the courthouse. Jalen's stomach dropped. "You're saying we have to break into the judge's office?" Reed nodded. "Unless you want him to walk free." Reed leaned over the table. Lawson has a private safe in his chambers. If he's hiding anything, it'll be in there. Darius smirked. Breaking into a courthouse? That's ballsy. Jalen exhaled. When do we do it? Reed's eyes were serious. Tomorrow night. While Lawson is in session. Jalen's pulse quickened. This was it. The final move. If they pulled this off, Lawson would fall. If they failed, they wouldn't live to try again. The break-in. Jalen adjusted the security badge clipped to his chest. The FBI had provided fake credentials. Tonight, he wasn't Jalen Lawson. He was Jerome Carter, a maintenance worker. Darius, dressed the same, whispered, "You ready?" Jalen nodded, though his hands were sweating. Agent Reed's voice crackled through the earpiece. You have 10 minutes. Get in, get the files, and get out. If you get caught, I can't help you. No pressure. Jalen took a deep breath and stepped inside the courthouse. The building was nearly empty, save for a few late-night workers. Security was light, no one expected a break-in inside a courthouse. Jalen and Darius made their way to Judge Lawson's private office. Darius jimmied the lock. Click. They slipped inside. Jalen scanned the room. Where would he hide the evidence? Darius whispered, "Look for a safe." Jalen moved quickly, running his hands over the bookshelves, under the desk. Then, his fingers brushed against something cold. A hidden panel. His heart pounded as he pressed it. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a heavy-duty safe. Darius grinned. Bingo. Darius pulled out a small electronic device and pressed it against the safe's keypad. Numbers flashed as the device tried to crack the code. Jalen's stomach churned. How long? Darius muttered, 2 minutes, if we're lucky. They weren't lucky. The office door suddenly swung open. Judge Lawson stood there. A gun in his hand. Jalen froze. The gun was pointed straight at his chest. Lawson's face was unreadable. You just couldn't leave it alone, could you? Jalen's heart raced. You killed my mom. Lawson's jaw tensed. I didn't pull the trigger. But she knew too much. Jalen clenched his fists. And now I do too. Lawson's finger tightened on the trigger. Beep. The safe unlocked. Darius reacted instantly. Bang! A gunshot rang out. Jalen dove for the files inside the safe while Darius tackled Lawson, knocking the gun from his hand. Lawson fought like a cornered animal, punching and kicking wildly. Jalen grabbed the gun from the floor. He stood, aiming it at his father. Lawson froze. Darius, panting, stepped back. Your call, kid. Jalen's hands shook. Could he do it? Lawson sneered. You don't have it in you. Jalen exhaled. No. But the FBI does. He threw the files to Darius and stepped back. Sirens wailed outside. Lawson's face finally showed fear. The doors burst open, FBI agents swarmed the room. Reed led the charge. Put your hands up, Lawson. The judge slowly raised his hands. It was over. The next morning, the news exploded. Judge Lawson arrested in corruption scandal. Secret files reveal decades of crimes. Justice for Monica Lawson. Jalen watched the headlines from a safe house, exhaustion hitting him all at once. Darius patted his back. Your mom would be proud, kid. Jalen exhaled. It's over. Darius grinned. Not for you. The world just found out who Jalen Lawson is. The real question is, what are you gonna do next? Jalen looked at the city skyline, a new future ahead of him. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. And he wasn't done yet.